Now let's talk about the points option under the create mode. So we go to the create mode, and I want to make sure that points is highlighted. So we want to make sure that we click on points down in the bottom. And in points, here we have a couple different options. We have three specific options to define and use here for points. First of all, the first one is the point tool. And the point tool will allow us to create points if we know the actual coordinate of those points. And we can also use this tool to actually delete points as well. So what we want to do first is, let's say that I have two control points that were given to me, and they were given to me by coordinates. Well, I can go ahead and use those points and enter them here. To do that, I do have to go into the edit mode. So we'll make sure we hit edit. And we want to go ahead and specify the XYZ value for our points. So for the X value here, I'm going to go ahead and put in a value. And this is set to decimal feet. I'm going to go ahead and put in my value here that I know where my point is going to be. And I'll set my Z elevation to be 0. The name that I'm going to put it is going to be control point 1. Give it a description. And then assign a layer to the object. Again, this is optional if you want it to. And just to kind of follow anchor points there, I'm going to go ahead and specify here control points. And I want to make sure that we check the box to say that it is a control point. So go back down here, and you will see where the point is located. It will actually display where it is, and then I'm going to hit create. So now that is a control point, and since it is a control point, you will see that that the symbol, there's a different symbol associated with it versus the regular control, versus a regular point, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and create the second control point down below. And I'm going to change the Y value here. Select or exit edit mode. And there's my second control point. And I'm going to hit create. And now I've created my two control points. And again, this is command is used only if you know the X, Y, and Z coordinate for your point. All right. So let's take a look at the other settings. And the other settings here, we do have the ability to enter points on a line or enter points off offset is our second option here. So we have a couple different ways to look at this. What I will do, I'm going to go ahead and just put in some straight points on one of these walls, and then I'll use the other option, which is points on an arc. So this is like points on a line. We want to go ahead and do that. So first thing I want to do is select 2 points of reference. So I will select my W3 here and my W1 up above. And it's going to fill in the points according to whatever is set under the edit mode. So we want to make sure we want to go into edit mode here. Right now I have it set to no offset. So there is no offset off the line, but I do have an interval of 1 foot. I'm going to change that to 2 feet. I'm going to go ahead and specify a particular name. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and start with W, and I can't recall the last number that I have, so I'll just go ahead and enter W10 in here. I think there's something different, so we'll see what it does to the points. Want to make sure we put it on the right layer, and I believe I did create a layer for this. So I'm going to scroll down, say wall points, and the start distance that we have here is if you don't want to start off of the first point that you use as a reference, you can specify a particular distance from that point. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and exit edit mode, and you'll see that my numbers or my points are incremented accordingly and they're not offset. If I did want to put an offset, I'll go ahead and put an offset in here to show you. I'll put a 2 feet offset. And by doing the 2 foot offset, you see that right now the way that it's set on the direction, it is set to the right hand side. If I change the direction here, it'll go ahead and place it on both ends. And if I select it one more time, it goes to the left. So you have a couple of different ways to do your points in here. If you look at the arrow, you see the direction that is going to create those points. Okay, so you want to watch that as you're working. Okay, I'm going to set this back to 0 offset, and I'm going to go ahead and create my points. Okay, so what this allows us to do is it allows us to create additional points as we see fit. Now, W10 was already created, so it went ahead and started with W13 as my next point. All right, so if I want to look in here, I see the W17 is my last one on here. So you want to be careful. You notice I believe that it did create 2 points up on top. So I will go back and delete that in there if there was a point there before. So there's probably going to be 2 points, W1 and W17. So I'll go back and delete that 17 later on. All right. So the next option is to create the arc. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll here in the middle here to show you the arc option. And the arc option works the same as the straight point, straight line. So we're going to go ahead and select our 2 points of reference. And then we're going to take a look at our settings here. So this option right here down below controls pretty much which direction we're going, or in this case, is it the small arc or the larger arc that we're looking at. Then the other option will control which side we're going to do the arc on. Okay, so we can specify that option. You see on the large side here. So now the next over is the size of what is if I had an offset with there is no offset on here. This will control the offset of those points, and we need to set that in our setting here. So I'm going to flip this one more time because I want it on this side so I can match the line or the arc here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit edit mode. And the one thing and I'll go back for a minute. One thing that you need to know the radius of that arc. Can't really measure the radius of the arc in here, so we want to make sure that we know that. So I already have that, so I'm going to change that to 6 feet. And even if you don't know it, you can play with the radius. And, if it's a full value, you can go ahead and put it in there and not have a problem. The offset option on top will obviously offset the points off of your radius if you wanted to, off of your line. You do have the interval option. I'll change this to every 1 foot. And then here, say start distance. I am going to start with W on here, and I think 17 was the last one on there, so we'll do 18 as my next point. This is going to go under the wall point layer. It's not that layer we want this wall point here. I'm not going to do an offset off the starting distance, and then the radius is 6 feet on there. If I go back out of my edit mode, you'll see the information there. I need to change my radius. 6 feet didn't apply. Let's go 5 feet a minute. See here. Oh, sorry. Let's go higher up to 10 feet. There, 10-foot radius there. So there we have our line. And again, it's going from W7 to W11. 10-foot radius every 1 foot is going to create a point for me. Same thing with the offset. We didn't do an offset here, but again, you can offset to the right, left, or both sides. Once you're have decided or finished what you're doing, you can go ahead and hit create, and now your points will be created in here. Okay. If you wanted to offset so it doesn't create the point at the very beginning. We want to make sure and do that. You can. So I'm going to undo that really quick and do it again so we don't have to create that again. So we'll do it again. Pick my 2 points of reference. Select edit mode, and I am going to start a distance of 1 foot away from the line, so it does do that 1 foot increment, W18, and go back out. So now it should start here and end at the end. We'll hit create, and now we got W18. So I still have to come back over here and delete that last point in here. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go back to points. Go back to the first point option. Select the point that we want to delete. In this case is W24, and hit the delete option there. And now we have our arc, even though the drawing itself does not look like an arc, but it's supposed to be an arc on there.